So I am going to be recording while I pull these cards, but I'm going to come back in afterwards and just edit out my shuffling and the big gaps just for your ease of listening. But I do like to record the whole process only because I find that some of the juiciest intuitive guidance comes through in that moment of channeling it through when I initially pull the cards. And so I do like to capture that, but if you're watching this later and wondering why bits are cut out, I'm just going to cut out like the shuffling and some of those longer pauses while I'm channeling the information through. And that's just for your ease of listening. These will be messages for the collective. These won't resonate for everybody. So, as with anything that is channeled for the collective, always take what resonates for you and leave the rest behind. Certain messages will come through for certain people in different ways, and use your own intuition while you are listening to this, or if I show you the cards as well, to see what kind of messages might come through personally for you as an individual that just can't come through in the same way through a collective message. So, as always, take what resonates for you and leave the rest behind and have a bit of fun with it. So, Spirit, for the highest and best of everyone involved, what is asking to come through for the collective for January 1st, 2025, for the new year? And also just knowing that you can come back to these messages. I'm channeling them for you for January 1st, 2025. But if you've come across this podcast at a later date, then chances are there are messages there for you now. So don't get too hung up on the dates. You can always review this and come back to it, and it will serve you in new or different ways. Let's just see what deck wants to talk to us today. Okay, we're going to start with the Divine Masters Oracle. It's by Kyle Gray. This is a newer deck to me. I don't feel quite as well versed in it, but it does ask to come through quite a bit, so I am becoming more familiar. So we're going to look a little bit at what wants to come through for the new year, messages for you for 2025, but also what is being asked to be left behind at this time. So I'm going to look at that first. Okay, so for some of you, what is asking to be left behind at this time is the way that you look at service. So for some of you, maybe you have been serving other people in ways that does not simultaneously serve you. Maybe you haven't had the best boundaries or the most appropriate boundaries around how you show up and do this work of service in the world, whether it's for you or for other people. So this is an invitation to, just reevaluate, does how you are doing service work serve you and other people? Or is it only serving you, or is it only serving somebody else? Right? So just an invitation to find balance in that way. Because when we serve from a heart-centered, soul-led place, we are not only serving the other people, but we are serving ourselves as well. And that is such a beautiful, reciprocal situation, right? And when we serve in that way, the universe serves us as well. And so we are giving and receiving simultaneously. And, those things might not show up right in that moment, but you just know through what you're doing that what you're doing is right for you at this time, and that it is also right for the people who are you are trying to serve. And so this is an invitation to maybe shed outdated ways of offering this service to other people, or serving other people in a way that, really is only serving you. So, yeah, that is the Jesus card. I'll hold that up for you, for anyone who is watching and not just listening. But the card is Jesus, acts of service. When you serve, the universe serves you. But of course, we need to take from that the channeled messages that come through as well, because I don't think that this card is asking you to give up service. I think it's asking you to reevaluate the way that you offer that service to the world and the balance there. For some of you, you will have been having some initiations into a more spiritually aligned calling. And some of these initiations could feel quite challenging if you are resisting them. And some of them could feel like quite a breakthrough moment if you are aligned with them and understanding their purpose behind that, and following them in the ways that you are intuitively guided to do so. And so for some of you, what you may need to leave behind at this time is that resistance to those initiations, and instead step more fully into your spiritual calling or your more spiritual or aligned ways of being, right? And so our world is shifting big time, right? And these spiritual endeavors, the people who are truly authentically aligned with spirit and with the energies that are aligned for the highest and best of everyone involved, there is going to be a huge need, a huge calling for that type of person and that type of service in the world moving forward, in my opinion, and in the opinions of some of my other teachers and things that I follow. And so that's also just my intuitive sense, my intuitive knowing. And so for some of you who are maybe resisting that process of coming into your own light, it may be time to really kind of shed some of those fears and those self-limiting beliefs that are holding you back from really fully embodying that new way of being, or really fully stepping into your light and letting yourself be seen in that way. And that leads me right into my next card. Actually, here, I'll show you that one for those of you who aligned with that message. But it leads me right into my next card. And that is that my sense is that for some of you, you will have been spending a lot of time or energy connecting with furthering your education, or learning through a more divine or energetic or spiritual way. And maybe you're resisting actually coming out and sharing what you have learned. So some of us, we can get stuck in this space of feeling like we always need to be the student and resisting stepping into that role of the teacher. So, and maybe you're not even stepping into a role of a teacher yet, but maybe you're just going to take those baby steps to come out and offer some of what you do, right? Maybe maybe you've taken some energy healing or some sound healing or something like that, and maybe you've been resisting actually doing that work for clients, or creating the course that you know that you have within you, or anything along those lines, right? Where we get stuck in that comfort zone of staying the student and feeling like we always just have to continue to up our knowledge and get more education, without ever reaching the step of feeling like, okay, it's time to share what I've learned out into the world. And I'm certainly not saying like stop educating yourself. I actually think the opposite. I think that we all have to be continuing to educate ourselves in the ways that we can. But sometimes that education comes through like channeling, through connecting with your guides, through actually writing down the things that they share with you, and through learning in those ways. And sometimes it just comes through the simultaneous act of offering out to the world what we have to offer, and taking the time to continue our education at the same time, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. But if you are one of those people who has been really deeply immersed in education for a while now, but resisting that step further into offering that out into the world, then I think that this is your invitation to take that step, to release that need to be constantly furthering your own education at the expense of, or even maybe not at the expense of, but in order to keep yourself safe by not having to then take what you know and offer it out into the world. So this might be your time to take those steps. Okay, so let's see what else wants to come through. I'd like to get some messages of where we're headed or what you need to know right now. For the highest and best of everyone involved, what is asking to still come through at this time? Okay, so this to me feels like a message of where you are right now. So some of the things, just some information that you need right now in this moment. We have what we're letting go of. What do you need to bring your awareness to or to cognize now at this time? Well, we've got some jumpers. Okay, so we have let your passion lead your purpose. And, you know, this whole card reading is so in alignment with where I see 2025 and beyond going for the collective. So really leaning into more passion-led, purposeful projects, things that really light you up. So right now at this time, just connecting in with that inner light within you, like we already discussed, and what kind of fans those flames? You know, what lights you up inside? What do you get really excited about? Right? And connecting inwards in that way. And this might be a soft process for some of you. For some of you, you might not know right away what lights you up. This might be a bit of like a slower unfolding of self-discovery. As you shed those old skins, what really fans those flames is going to be shown to you, because those self-limiting beliefs and other barriers that were preventing you from really stepping into that version of yourself, as they leave, what really fans those flames and lights you up inside, it will be safe for you to see them and to be aware of them and to acknowledge them. So just bringing your awareness now to that space inside of you of what lights you up, and just checking in with yourself, like, do you have a connection with what lights you up inside? Or does that feel pretty muted, you know? And so with that awareness, you can then continually bring your awareness to that space and to discovering what lights you up. And from there, I can see like the vision that they've just shown me is sort of like those stones that you would have for a path, and just boop, 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 one in front of the other, right? So as you develop that connection with your own inner flame and with what excites you and those passion-led projects, those stones just get naturally placed in front of you, and you just kind of like seamlessly hop down each of them. Wow, how fun is that? When you're connecting with this energy, I want you to really make sure that you're connecting with something that feels fun to you and playful and purposeful. This is like a really heart-centered, soul-led, passion-fueled kind of energy. So yeah, that's your invitation to connect with now. And we did have another card jump out with it, which was Manifestation Vortex. And so as you connect with that really passionate space within you, that heart-centered, soul-led kind of passion projects within you, which actually it's not lost on me that this podcast is my passion project and that all of this is coming through at the same time. So thank you, Spirit, for that. But as you connect with that space, that will manifest on its own, right? So you don't have to take action on this at this time. All you have to do is connect with that space inside of you and connect with those practices that light you up. And if you haven't been connected with those for a while, then just reacquaint yourself with them, right? Start doing some of these practices that light you up and do them for yourself, do them for fun. And as you bring your awareness and your attention there, that is what manifests. And then that is what's going to bring each of those little stepping stones in front of you to take each next step. So that's really beautiful and that's really fun. I do think that my sense is that in 2025 and beyond, each of us on an individual level really do need to lean into a little bit more fun, a little bit more play. And I know that I need to do that in my life. And I just think that it goes beyond me, that it is a bit more of a collective sense that it's time for us to get a little bit playful and to have a little bit of fun. And I mean, we deserve it. Okay. So thank you, Spirit, for that. And now I would like to tap into a little bit of the future. You know what? I'm not. My guidance is coming through. So my traditional calendar would tell me that that's the thing to do right now, but my intuitive guidance and the channeled messages that I'm receiving as I'm speaking are telling me, no, you have the information that you need. The collective has received the information that they need, and that having a clearer sense of what our future might hold through the cards, through this information, might be too much information for some of you. What my guides are telling me is that they don't want to distract you with ideas of what life will look like, say, a year from now or 6 months from now. They want you to really stay focused on your current way of being. So releasing those old skins, leaving those in 2024, what no longer serves you, and really just spending this time in that beautiful presence and awareness and hibernation period where you really do turn inwards and connect with that inner light within you and connect with these things that light you up, because through that, that's where these manifestations are going to come. And what can happen sometimes is that if we jump ahead, if we skip a step and we focus too much on the outcome, sometimes we get really overwhelmed by what that outcome might be and kind of start to try to cognize, like, well, how do we get from here to there? And that energy can disrupt our manifestations sometimes. But also, sometimes we end up skipping that step of really just like sitting in that energy, in that passionate, heart centered, soul led energy, and really connecting with what lights us up in order to allow those manifestations. And so, if that happens and we kind of skip that step and we just head straight into that cognizing of how do we get from here to there, or the fear of, well, I can't do that end goal, I'm not there. And if that happens and and we get stuck in that cognizing and skip that step, then we don't have the foundation laid to actually get there, right? So when we pull cards, they're not set in stone, right? Any kind of channeled messages or intuitive guidance, they're based on our current trajectory right now, the current path that we are on. And they can also be connected to some of the timelines that we have available to us. But as humans, we have free will. So we have the free will choice. We make choices every single day that either continue us on the path that we're on, the timeline that we're in, or start to shift those timelines in either direction. And that can work in our favor, or it can go against us, or it can just kind of keep things the same. And so when we pull cards with an expected outcome, that outcome can be expected if we continue to do the things that we need to do to stay in alignment with that outcome, right? So, yeah, what Spirit is telling me is that we're just not really ready for that information yet. Right now, they don't want us distracted. They don't want us looking ahead too far into the future. Doing a bit of a visioning process is fine. That's great, right? That can kind of align our current way of being with the trajectory that we are on or that we would like to be on, right? That can be very supportive. But if we don't want to be skipping any steps here. So, right now, this season, your invitation is to really tune inward, to really quiet the outside noise, and to reconnect with that passionate space inside of you and to just get curious about it, right? What does light you up? What does excite you? So I think that's it for our cards right now. I sort of feel like pulling, I think I just want one more. Okay. So this to me is just a confirmation card. Leadership activation. It's time to evolve and trust your ability to guide others. And to me, what that is saying is that it really is time to shed some of those self-limiting beliefs that we discussed earlier on in the cards and step into a truly embodied version of ourselves, and then to trust that, right? Trust the education that we have received, trust our life experience, trust that who we are is going to come out when we start to offer this work out into the world in whatever way that looks like, right? So, yeah, I'm not telling you to put down the books, but maybe set them aside, maybe pause them for a little bit, or maybe continue them on in the way that you can while simultaneously offering out to the world whatever it is that you at this time really feel called to offer and equipped to offer, and trust yourself in that. Trust that you are ready. Beautiful. So I'm going to put those away, and I'm still going to do a little bit of a guided practice for you.